and Podcast One.
This is no ordinary sub shop. This is Firehouse Subs.
Welcome to Firehouse.
Tired of overpriced lunches that underdeliver on flavor? Head to Firehouse Subs, where for a limited time you can get a $4.99 choice sub. Choose from a medium smoked turkey, Virginia honey ham, or roast beef. They're custom-made hot subs at a price ready-made to make you smile. Just $4.99, only at Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Participating locations plus tax, limited time offer. Prices may vary for delivery.
How to show up with Coca-Cola Energy. You're tired and you're thinking of canceling on your friends. Don't do it! Every time you cancel on a friend, a unicorn loses its horn and becomes a regular horse. Do you really want that on your conscience? Instead, grab an ice-cold can of Coca-Cola Energy with delicious Coke taste and reinvigorating energy. Keep the unicorns alive! Show up every day with Coca-Cola Energy. Energy you want, taste you love.
Rantanen and Bobrovsky holding Rantanen, and he's tripped up into the boards. Penalty coming to Tampa, and Rantanen is down. He bounces up. We'll check on Rantanen, but there's a power play for the Avalanche when we come back. Rantanen not happy. He will be looked at, and we will keep you updated on his status.
Dr. Hockey.
Welcome to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. I'm Dr. Jay Calvert, and I am on via Skype with Dr. Jason Berkeley, who is reeling over the trade activity in the NHL this week. Jason, how are you doing?
Well, I'm not reeling, I wouldn't say, but I'm definitely noticing a bit of a trend here, and it looks like if you took the cover of the movie Slapshot and put the Kings there instead of the Charlestown Chiefs with a sign that says for sale, that I believe that's what's going on here. They're literally having a fire sale. Everything must go. They've lost their lease. I mean, it's started off with Campbell, their goalie, going to Toronto, and it's now carried over to Toffoli, who went to Vancouver for Brock Besser, and not for Brock Besser, but was traded to Vancouver because
of Besser's injury.
Because of Besser and Furlan. So Besser has a rib cartilage fracture, I should say. And if you want to discuss the rib fracture injury and cartilage, that would probably be beneficial to the audience because that's something that's not a readily healing and an easily healing injury.
No, absolutely not. And I am probably one of, not few, but one of a very select number of surgeons who have as much experience working with rib cartilage as anybody else.
So, Jay, tell us about the rib cartilage and exactly what the function is and what it does and how it's, when it's injured, what happens.
Funny you should ask, Jason. The rib cartilage is actually part of the spring mechanism of the chest wall, in that the way that the ribs connect to the sternum is through a piece of cartilage, which is very springy and soft and is not hard like the bone of the rib. And so that cartilage gives you like a shock absorber and a little bit of play in the system for not only breathing but also for trauma. And typically the athletes that injure their rib cartilage the most are golfers.
Because of the torquing motion, the twisting that they do?
Correct. And they typically get like an inflammation where they take some anti-inflammatories and it gets better. But tearing of the rib cartilage is super painful. Now, the rib cartilage does heal. Unlike other pieces of cartilage like knee cartilage or shoulder cartilage, rib cartilage will grow back. The perichondrium, when I take out a rib cartilage to fix somebody's nose, which I do probably twice a week, that rib cartilage does regrow. And all I have to do is close the perichondrium, the lining of the rib, in a tube, and the rib cartilage will grow back between the rib bone and the sternum.
Interesting.
So I think if you have probably the way that, and I don't know the mechanism of the injury.
Jay, what's the typical time frame for that to regrow or to repair itself, do you think?
6 months to a year.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is that they're saying that Besser is going to be potentially out for reevaluated in 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know how this thing's going to heal if he has a true cartilage fracture there in the rib cartilage. He's going to be expected to play potentially the rest of the season. I think that's why they kind of went after Toffoli to kind of give them a little insurance policy here.
It depends on the mechanism of the injury. If he injured it like a golfer with a big slap shot, which is what I would expect that he did, then he should get better in 3 months. But 3 weeks is pushing it.
And then also Michael Ferland on the Canucks also is out for the season now with concussion syndrome.
Brutal.
Concussion symptoms. So yeah, so there's two guys that are pretty important to this Canucks team as they're making a run. And I think that the acquisition of Toffoli, who obviously just had the first hat trick in winter, outdoor game so far, I think was a perfect pickup. And I think it's a good thing for Toffoli to kind of get a new team. And I'm surprised they traded him to someone pretty much in the same division. But either way, I think it's something that's going to be good for both parties, all three parties involved. But that was one of the trades that kind of caught my eye. The other one is another one that just happened.
Before you move on to that, could I just say something about the Toffoli trade?
Sure, go ahead.
I saw a picture of Toffoli wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey on my Instagram feed, and it looked really weird. It didn't look right.
It's one of those things like seeing Joe Namath wearing a Rams jersey. It just doesn't, not that Toffoli's like Joe Namath. I'm just saying that when you see a player that you're accustomed to seeing in a certain jersey, it doesn't sit right.
No, definitely not. It's pretty weird. But what can we do? That's the nature of the NHL. He had to move along. So your next trade, which one are you?
The next one was Alec Martinez going from the Kings again, another Kings player who's been one of their linchpins over the last couple of years, going to the Golden Knights again in the division, which I'm very, very surprised about because typically you don't see players like that going to a team in the same division. It's very rare to see that. They'll usually want to get them out of their main rotation of games. But I think this is a good move again for Vegas because it's certainly not going to hurt to have a guy like Martinez in their lineup. But also, I mean, it just goes to show the Kings fans. I think that the team and Rob Blake are pretty much committed to a rebuild, and they're really going to go all out for picks and for doing whatever they can.
Well, they have to. I mean, I think they really need to have like a New York Rangers 2 years ago fire sale, flush, and do whatever they can to build on the young talent that they have. Albeit there's not much that's shining brightly right now, but guys like Adrian Kempe and Iafallo and Luft. I mean, these guys are the future of the Kings franchise, and they got to try to keep the good stuff, which I assume they're going to keep Doughty and Kopitar around, and then they're going to flush whatever else they can and get whatever they can for it in a rebuild that's going to take 5 to 7 years.
Well, plus, didn't Vegas just get Carlson back? I think wasn't he injured or something recently, and it just kind of came back. I think.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But I
mean, he's going to bolster. I mean, Martinez is going to bolster their defense. They needed that. They needed that presence. I think that Martinez can give on a defense that's going to, kind of going through a little bit of trials and tribulations, I think, in Vegas. I think it's been kind of their weak spot so far. But, I think it's going to help them, and I think it's going to be good for both teams.
Well, also remember, the guy that the Vegas Golden Knights got in the expansion draft was Braden McNabb. So,
and also Thomas Nosek.
Yeah, but, I mean, McNabb and Martinez played together.
Oh, right. Very good.
Yeah, I think weren't they on the Cup-winning team together?
I think so.
I'm not sure if McNabb was on the team, but I'm pretty sure Martinez was.
Martinez was for sure, but I don't remember McNabb.
But that's so they've played together, and this is a reunion a bit on the D, and I think I don't blame the Kings for wanting to do a flush. They need to. They got to do something. And, I just wonder who will be next. We have, another week left to the deadline? What's the deadline?
No. We have 5 days left.
So not even a week. So, 5 days.
No. And then the other one that happened a couple days ago, the day before the Toffoli trade, was Tampa Bay starting to load up here. They got Blake Coleman from the Devils.
I know.
But
That's
here's
a big
the
one.
thing. But not only did they get a pretty good prospect in Nolan Foote, but a first-round pick. Is Coleman really worth a first-round pick and a good prospect? I think New Jersey made out like a bandit on this one.
Well, I think they had to, because to give up Coleman, now Coleman has a role for Tampa Bay right this minute, and that's why they're willing.
Is he? Wasn't he maybe more of a second-round pick? A first-round pick and a prospect like that? That was a pretty steep price for that.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I think Jersey definitely needed something good for Coleman for sure. But I think the other part of that is that there's going to be I think we're not done seeing stuff move. Jersey's got to do something. I think they're going to look to, and I think they're going to look to build around Nico Hischier and Blackwood, and Hughes. I'm sure is part of the plan, but he's got a ways to go yet. That kid is.
New Jersey's got to trade Subban.
They definitely
I think
do.
that he's a great player, but he stays more focused. As Skating Stiletto said, I think he's more interested in his media brand than he is on the ice lately, which I don't necessarily disagree with. But I think he needs to. I don't think he needs to be the guy. I think he needs to be a guy, and playing on a second line of a great defensive team and the second pairing, I think would be a better thing for him rather than trying to be the man. I don't know. That's just my take on him, and from watching him go from Montreal to Nashville now to New Jersey. I don't know. I think they're not done yet. I think that he's going to end up in, and I think another good place for him to go would be kind of maybe like a Arizona or Phoenix or whatever you want to call them. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. He's having a terrible year, so that's a big part.
But having a terrible year because it's a terrible team.
Yes, exactly. I know.
But he's not a terrible.
No. Subban's a great player.
Get him to a team that's pushing for a wild card slot, or a team that he can blend in and not have this pressure. I don't think he thrives on the pressure of having to be a top D or a top pairing D. I just don't see it. I don't see him being that guy. I think he needs something else that's a little different.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. Subban is not. He's having a very average year to even a poor year. And, it's not, you're right. He's got a terrible team around him. It's just, but how, that's the point. How then at the trade deadline or, at the end of the year when his contract's up, do you move him anywhere? It's where does he go when you don't have there's not a good story there. Coleman, there's a good story. Tampa Bay looks at Coleman, they're like, we're willing to give up some stuff to get this guy for this year. We want to win a cup. This is our year to do it. Coleman's, he's a puzzle piece that helps with that.
Now, here's another thing I was reading. I think it was on their blog. Howard Berger, that we had on, was talking about the Maple Leafs and the fact that there's been some talk, supposedly, of Drew Doughty not being too happy in L.A., and maybe they can get something for him, too. I think he's the next domino to fall, and, they could make a marquee, humongous trade, and I think I agree with Howard on this. I'm giving him full credit because actually he tweeted it, and before I read the entire blog, I actually commented on it. He kind of gave me the rolling eyes icon, the emoji, and said, read the whole article. But I said, because my comment was they're going to have to part with Marner or Nylander, and for the salary and that sort of thing. He wrote back, read the damn article. And I'm like, okay, man, I get it. So Howard, I apologize. But it's true. That's what he did say in the blog, and that's something that Toronto is going to have to make a move and break up that top four that they have.
They have to.
They have to bring in a top defenseman. I think that if you bring a Doughty in, I don't know if Subban's the guy per se, but I think that a team like Toronto that's now in third place in the Atlantic they're pulling themselves up, and they're going ahead of the Islanders